Thank you, Chris, and welcome everybody. We are going to give three short presentations for you today that give you kind of a flavor of what FASE is doing and what our perspective is on this condition, and how we are thinking about moving forward. So my presentation would be very general, and as you see that my title is Why Do We Have Allergies? And we want to understand food allergies from the first principles, not influenced by any existing preconceived notions about this disease. And to do so, we need to ask from the very basic perspective, what is a disease, and how do we go about understanding any disease? So any disease is some kind of an abnormal version of some normal biological process. There is always some normal physiological counterpart to practically every disease. And in order to understand any disease, we need to know what these normal counterparts are. Otherwise, we are not going to be able to develop rational approaches for therapies. And it so happens that for many diseases, the normal counterpart is some kind of a defense system, like immune defense, neuronal defense. There are many types of defense systems we have. And when these defense systems are expressed either in an excessive or insufficient manner, that can result in various diseases. So simple example would be when we have an infection, the immune system reacts to it, but most of the symptoms of the infectious disease are actually due to immune response and inflammation. It's not due to the pathogen. So with that in mind, we wanted to ask, what about allergic diseases? What would be possibly good about them, and what would be a normal counterpart? And for decades now, allergy has been thought of as a mistake that the immune system makes. It's a mistargeted response. It's purely pathological. And the immune system reacts to environmental substances that are harmless, unlike pathogens, including substances in food, resulting in food allergies. And if we think, however, about what are the common characteristics of allergic reactions and we see that all allergic reactions exhibit a feature of a defense system that protects us from noxious substances in the environment, in the air and in the food and so forth. And all the symptoms of allergies, like sneezing, vomiting, diarrhea, running nose, itching, all of them have one common denominator. All of them have to do with removing something harmful from the body, or at least something that the body thinks is harmful, which is not always the same thing as what we think is harmful. And indeed, all these reactions that you're familiar with, the symptoms, itching, sneezing, vomiting, diarrhea, coughing, and so forth, all of them have to do with expulsion and removal of something harmful from the body. And in fact, you don't have to be allergic to exhibit these types of reactions. If you inhale some particles, dust, and so on, you will sneeze. If you have some irritant on the skin, it will itch. If you have food poisoning, you'll throw up or have diarrhea. All of these are beneficial defenses. They help to remove something harmful. And the basic premise of our thinking is that allergies are exacerbated versions of these physiological defenses. And so we can think of them in the following way, that there is what we distinguish between allergic diseases and allergic defenses. Allergic defenses are helpful. They benefit us by protecting from harmful substances. And when they're exacerbated, that's what results in allergic diseases. And we, in fact, predict that there is another end of the spectrum when there is insufficient allergic defenses, which would result in a different set of pathological conditions. Similar to the way we think about immunity to infection, there is a normal, beneficial immunity to infection. If it's exacerbated, it can result in all sorts of pathologies like autoimmune diseases. And if it's insufficient, it results in immunodeficient diseases. And so we think in terms of food allergies specifically, we think that food allergies are basically a reaction of the immune system to food substances like food proteins that the body considers noxious. And we think that food allergy is one component of a broader system of food quality control, which includes familiar components like sense of smell, taste, as well as there is a very complicated sensory systems that operate in the intestine. And so we think that pathological food allergy would be basically an overreaction of this quality control system. So this has to do with a very important problem that is generally hugely underappreciated by modern science, I would say. And that has to do with the problem of food selection. The reason we don't appreciate it is because for us, food selection looks like choosing one of these items to eat. It's not a life or death decision. It's just basically what your current preferences are. And this is highly unnatural context for food selection. The natural context would be something like this, where you're in a rainforest and there are thousands of different species of plants and animals. And there are hundreds of thousands of different chemicals that these plants can produce. And majority of them are really harmful, designed to be harmful to animals that will consume them, because plants make them for defense against herbivores. And so if you're an animal in this natural setting, which is for majority of our evolutionary history, and you need to eat to survive, but you have to be extremely careful about what you choose to eat and what you avoid. So it's an extremely important process, and that's why evolution devoted so much to this particular decision, having parts of our brain devoted to it, having most of our immune system being in the gut, and the gut having its own brain, as you will hear later. And so because of that problem, there is, as I said, many specialized mechanisms devoted to it. And I'll go quickly through these examples of many of the things here would be familiar. First, the sense of smell tells us if something we should put in our mouth or not. If it doesn't smell good, we don't. If it smells okay, we start ingesting it. And then we have a sense of taste. There are different types of sensory pathways here that evaluate food based on smell and taste. And if everything looks okay, it will go further. We will swallow it. Otherwise, we don't. So that's a filter on food quality, right? That's part of a food quality control system. That's why we have them. People who have defects in the sense of smell or taste, they generally suffer from negative consequences of consuming contaminated foods. And then there is a very complicated system in the gut that I'm not going to go into details. This is just to give you an idea how complex the system is. Throughout the gut, there are specialized types of cells that are designed to sense the content of the gut, both good contents like nutrients and negative contents like toxins and other noxious substances. They evaluate it and they communicate to the brain and to the immune system, to the endocrine system, and to various parts of the gut tissue. And so these are examples of different types of cells that perform this type of evaluation of food quality within the gut. And that's where most of the action is for allergy. And these cells detect different components of food or present in food, shown here in various colors of dots. Some of them are nutrients that we want to consume. Some of them are neutral. We don't care about them. And some of them are noxious and we need to pay attention to them. And for this latter part includes things that we call allergens, so food allergens. And these are evaluated by these types of cells, epithelial cells that can sense them. They communicate to immune cells as well as to neurons. And collectively, the decision here is made, where many details of that decision process are currently, that's what we're trying to understand mechanistically. But they make a decision whether the immune system will ignore these components or will react to them. And if it ignores them, nothing happens. If it reacts to them, it may protect us from harmful substances. And if it overreacts to them, then we have food allergy. And so allergic defenses thus protect us from harmful substances present in the environment, including in food. And food quality control is this ancient system that protects us from potentially lethal effects of consuming toxins. And it helps us avoid consumption of harmful foods and promotes the expulsion, resulting in protection. And again, we think food allergy is an exaggerated version of this. And I put the asterisks here when I say harmful foods, because all of you probably thinking what's so harmful about all the things that we can be allergic to. And this is a bit of a misconception here about what to consider harmful or not. When you think what's so harmful about this or that food source, you're thinking about it from our perspective, subjective perspective. Whereas what matters here is what body considers noxious or harmful. If there is some component that inhibits digestive function by 5%, you will not feel it. From the body's perspective, that's a problem, and it will react accordingly. And so in our evolutionary past, food selection was really a daily and sometimes hourly live or die problem that you cannot afford to make mistakes here. And food quality control system is critically important for survival. And what is important to also appreciate here is that this system is designed to be prone to false positive errors, meaning that it's better to be safe than sorry. It's better to make a mistake of reacting to harmless food than not reacting to harmful food. That's what it means. It's so-called type 1 error or false positive error. And this is because the cost of these false negative mistakes when you don't react when you should is higher than the cost of not consuming something that in natural settings could be replaced by something else. And I emphasize in natural settings because in natural settings, the spectrum of food choices have been orders of magnitude more than it is now after agricultural revolution and with industrial food production. But we evolved without industrial food production, without agriculture. And so our biology is tuned to a different type of environment. And this mismatch between our evolutionary past and modern environment sometimes plays these tricks on us. And there are many diseases that are consequence of that. So I will stop here. Thank you for your attention. And now we will switch to our next talk. And any questions you may have, we will address them afterwards. So our next presentation would be by Carrie Sokol. She's a physician scientist with interest and specialization in allergies. And she's an assistant professor at Massachusetts General Hospital.